Discussions of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas have been ramping up over the last couple of weeks, in large part because Ramadan begins on March 10th. The recent media focus has been on the political dynamics that seem to be encouraging such an outcome. Strangely, though, discussions of the strategic military situation have taken a back seat, even though it is the strategic military situation that is driving the tension. So today, in our traditional role as social scientists, we will not be advocating for any particular position, but rather we will try to understand why a ceasefire is such an uphill battle. To situate ourselves, it has been 5 months since Hamas's October 7th attack, and more than 4 months since Israel began its offensive into the Gaza Strip. International goodwill toward Israel reached perhaps all-time highs back then, but the prolonged invasion has caused much of that to dissipate. We are at the point now where even the United States, traditionally Israel's staunchest ally, is now joining the calls for a ceasefire. In the meantime, Palestinians are enduring eye-popping casualties, and Gaza itself is having its infrastructure completely ground down. Now, if there is one thing that you have learned from this channel, it is that these costs of war normally incentivize parties to reach some type of agreement. But that has not happened yet. Thus, the question for us today is why? And the simple answer appears to be a strategic military dilemma that Israel currently faces. To preface the rest of this conversation, I am taking an educated guess here. Surprisingly, I have not been invited to the secret Israeli military briefings, nor am I an agent of an intelligence organization. I'm just a professor here who has taken one too many math classes in his life, and am trying to put the pieces together. And actually, that task is easier than it normally would be, because Israel has not been particularly bashful about the overall strategy here. Let's use a helpful visualization. In practice, Israel started the offensive mostly pinching from the middle and from one of the narrow sides. Over time, Israel's path has branched out and proliferated to the left. But let's simplify things and pretend like Israeli troops were just moving right to left. And for the sake of clarity, north is roughly in this direction. Don't blame me that we have binocular vision, and thus everything is in widescreen this way. To use a euphemistic medical metaphor, Israel began by quarantining the entire strip. Hamas, as the de facto governor of the region, had its agents spread out everywhere inside. The IDF then took slow, deliberate steps to go after Hamas targets in a single particular area. Those individuals either stayed and fought at that point, where they were captured or killed, or they retreated to somewhere else within the quarantine zone. We are getting close to 5 months now, and Israel has slowly been repeating this process over and over again. The reason this has taken longer than some analysts initially speculated is because Israel wants to do a very thorough job here. To use Israel's own metaphor, this is not one of those routine mow the grass operations. Instead, Israel wants to go after the roots. Now, we have talked before about the wisdom of this strategy and the potential for blowback. Again, casualty figures like these indicate that there should be a real concern for Israel here. Never mind the Palestinians who are actually paying the real cost, and not just receiving a political black eye. However, for better or worse, this is just what Israel appears to be attempting to do. We are at the point, though, where there are few other places for Hamas to retreat to. And yes, this is more complicated in practice, because the front is not just a simple straight line. But the simplification still communicates the main problem when it comes to a ceasefire. Once Israel surrounded Khan Yunis in January, Rafah became the last remaining major holdout. Here is where things get tricky. If Israel agrees to an extended ceasefire, keeping the quarantine in place will be difficult. Some of the otherwise trapped Hamas agents will get out. Thus, when the battle resumes, Israel's progress bar is going to reset. Now, this would not be the equivalent of reverting back to square one. There are fewer Hamas fighters at this point, and they will have fewer tunnels or other hiding places to go to. All of that would make repeat operations easier for Israel. But the point remains that Israel will have to do a lot of retreading to get back to the current situation, if the roots removal strategy is the goal here. Consequently, for Israel to be talked into a ceasefire, Hamas would have to make deep concessions. And right now, the group seems to be concerned that making the deep concessions that are available, namely the release of hostages, might only remove its last bit of bargaining power. Does that doom negotiations? No. Third parties can still provide inducements or apply political pressure to push Israel in that direction. It is just that reaching a ceasefire is an uphill battle. If you want to know more about the Israel-Hamas war, check out this playlist on the subject. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.